If you didn't already feel like we're in the Matrix, then come on in, join me. There are millions of dollars being pumped into the United States from a foreign nation in order to get Christians like you to support the modern state of Israel. Hi, I'm Vanessa. Welcome to Wholeheartedness. All right, so perhaps you've already heard, but modern Israel has been ramping up its efforts around the world to increase its steadily declining approval rating. Just in case you haven't seen it, here's a video of Netanyahu himself talking to a bunch of Christian influencers about how to increase allegiance from Christians in America for the modern state of Israel.
Evangelicals are the reason that Israel has been supported in public sphere outside of just Jews. I guess I'm curious about what's another game plan if we lose evangelical support for the state of Israel? What's our backup plan to be strong, like outside of the diaspora?
Talked about the woke right, and he said, I call it the woke Reich, because these people, they're not any different from the woke left. I mean, they're insane. We have to fight back. How do we fight back? Our influencers. And secondly, we're going to have to use the tools of battle. The weapons change over time. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is
followers.
TikTok. Number one.
Not sure if you caught that, but he was saying any American who doesn't support the modern state of Israel is essentially a Nazi. And I'm not sure how anyone in that room walked away feeling respected after he talked to them like that, but hey, to each their own. Anyway, there was a recent FARA filing. FARA, I'm not sure how to say that. A FARA filing was filed on September 27th of 2025 by an American organization that just so happened to recently establish itself called Show Faith by Works. They filed this report with FARA a couple weeks ago, and in it they detail out exactly what their intentions are and how they're going to go about achieving their goals. Their explicit aim says that they are going to encourage Christians to have a more favorable view of the nation of modern Israel. The polls are showing a very steep decline in Christian support for the modern state because of their genocide. And their other hope is to get more Christians to visit the modern state of Israel. It's kind of like they think that if we all just go there, our minds will change. All the images we've seen of burnt and dismembered children, that will just totally leave our mind because modern Israel is just so beautiful. And we know that all of these efforts that I'm going to go over in just a moment are funded and fueled and organized by the government itself in modern Israel because they registered with FARA. The only reason one ever needs to register with FARA is because they're doing work on behalf of a foreign government. And the documentation itself says that the people in America who are going to be doing their bidding are doing it on behalf of the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Something to remember, because it's a foreign government behind this, their aims has nothing to do with the Bible or faith. It has everything to do with politics. And we have to remember that this is a foreign nation whose government, probably in its entirety, believes that Jesus was a false prophet. Some of them probably even believe that he is burning in human excrement eternally. Yet they're willing to spend
millions of dollars
to target American Christians who believe that Jesus is the Messiah. I think the aim is very clear: to exploit our faith in order to get our support for their political agendas in their region, as well as getting our approval of them oppressing their neighbors. For me, this makes all the efforts that I'm going to detail kind of like a wolf in sheep clothing. Because one, are they going to be upfront with all these Christian churches and Christian colleges that they're there on behalf of the government of Israel? And even if they are, at that point, what would be the point of churches and Christian colleges allowing a foreign entity to come onto their premises and to propagandize their people? And what they're trying to propagandize their people on is things that go against biblical principles. But all right, I'm going to go through this and I'm just going to go over the parts that I think are important to go over. I trust that if you are interested in looking more into this, that you'll go to the FARA website yourself. And if you go to the filing, if you go all the way down, almost to the end, kind of in the middle, it's 86 pages, but if you go, it gives an extensive list of churches' names and how many people are regularly attending their churches that they're intending to target. So you can go on there yourself and see, is your local church being targeted? Is a church that you know or nearby you going to be targeted? And to perhaps reach out, pre-warn, get people prepared for what's coming down the pipeline. Anyway, here we go. Here's the rundown. So first, the government of modern Israel, through this Show Faith by Works organization, is looking to ramp up targeting of mega churches in California, Arizona, Nevada, and Colorado. This is only phase 1, though. In their documentation, they say they have their eyes on other states like Utah and Texas. And who knows what intentions they might have behind the scenes beyond that. They're going to send every single megachurch in these regions, in these states, pastoral resource packages. Something it says they're set to spend a minimum of $350,000 on. These packets are going to contain pro-Israel information and educational materials, and the expectation is for these pastors to share this information with their congregations. One of the main ways it seems that they're going to do that is distribute it using videos that this Show Faith by Works organization is planning to create or are already in the process of creating. It says that they would hope that they would share these videos during church services. It sounds like they're going to be making videos specifically for youth pastors to play to the children that they oversee. They plan to create messages specific for Black churches, as well as using an Anglican Hispanic pastor, whoever that is, to target Catholic churches. And they're also going to be creating Spanish content as well to get that sector of the American Christian population. And something I find most creepy, they're planning to geofence the boundaries of every single megachurch in California, Arizona, Nevada, and Colorado, and all Christian colleges during worship times, it says. And so their goal is to distribute pro-Israel information and messages, as well as anti-Palestinian messages in both English and Spanish. And their explicit stated goal is to do the largest geofencing and targeted Christian digital campaign
Ever.
It's like, okay, real ambitious. So the plan is to geofence every single event that they do, every church and Christian college in these states. And then, weird, they're wanting to track the attendees in those locations. So anyone who enters these geofenced areas, they plan to track them and to continue to target them with ads thereafter. It's just so weird. And something else that's just so strange, it says that they also plan to go hard on Christmas messaging, because for Christians, December's all about Christmas, right? So can't miss that opportunity. These are some of the messages they wrote out that they plan to really harp on in December for Christians and Christmas. It's that modern Israel protects Christians like no other nation in the Middle East. But okay, sure, yeah. They can get persecuted and terrorized, and you're totally doing everything you can. That's so heartwarming, isn't it? And as I said before, they want to encourage tourism to the modern state of Israel, but they're going to say at Christmas time, because Christ was born there. But no. If we look, he was born in Bethlehem. We all know that. Quick little Google search and you'll find out that Bethlehem is not in modern Israel. They know that. And yet they're trying to tell us that that's modern Israel. But no, if you look at a map today, you're going to learn that Bethlehem is in occupied Palestine. And for them trying to say that it is, kind of only proves that an apartheid state is actually happening, because if Bethlehem is in Israel in their mind, then that means that the occupied territories are under their rule, which means that the Palestinians in the occupied territories that are not getting equal treatment or equal rights to the Israelis there and in modern Israel, they're kind of establishing an argument for apartheid, which we already know they are, but they're trying to claim that they're not, but their own reasoning is kind of proving that true. On to the next. It also said that they're planning to work with top tier Hollywood talent to book Christian celebrities and athletes to deliver pro-modern Israel messaging and use Hollywood connections to build a 5-star October 7th experience trailer. And then there's some vague wording about using biblical arguments to highlight the importance of modern Israel and the Jewish people to Christians. But as you know, one, the modern state of Israel is not the same as the Israel we find in the Bible. The modern state of Israel is ruled by politicians who deny Christ and therefore deny the Father and therefore the Spirit. Where biblical Israel was a theocracy, God was their ultimate ruler. But if they deny Christ, the Father, and the Spirit, then what God are they following? so not the same as biblical Israel. And of course, people who observe Judaism are important. They should be important to Christians just as all people are important to Christians. That is the call on our lives, to care about all people and to love all people and desire for them all to know the Lord. But they're not trying to do that. What they want is for us to see the importance of the modern state of Israel and to see the importance of the Jewish people so that they can exploit our faith to garner our support and our allegiance and to approve of them over everyone else in the world. So again, this kind of supremacy idea, which is unbiblical. And then it says they explicitly plan to get Christians to oppose the idea of a Palestinian state, and they'll do so by using propaganda talking points that have littered the media and our government for the last several years. So one, being against the idea of a Palestinian state is a totally political one, whereas being for all humans, no matter who they are or where they are or who their neighbors are, having the right to freedom and self-determination, having human dignity and being treated with respect, and having the right to safety, security, and life, those are all biblical ideas. So if anyone from anywhere is ever trying to get you as a Christian to oppose people being free, being treated with dignity, or being relieved of oppression, especially if the one who's trying to convince you of that is the one doing those things, as Christians, we should have a problem with that and call it out. And finally, they're also wanting to ramp up their presence and the pro-modern Israel messaging through Christian social media channels as well as Christian podcasts. I have no idea if now that this is seeing so much light of day, if they're going to continue forward with this project because they've kind of been exposed. Either way, though, I felt it was important to share it because one, if they do go through with it, then Christians need to know in advance, and they need to know that wolves in sheep clothing are coming to a church and a pastor near you. And so if you start to hear any of this trickling down into your church, if you see the bus at your church, if you have an event at your church, that perhaps it should give you pause and question, is this pastor really looking out for the congregation's best interest or perhaps for his own? And if they don't go through with it, then cool, we dodged that bullet. But it would just go to show that a lot of people in America who claim to be Christians give support to the modern state of Israel, perhaps because they've been propagandized to do so. Because if the Bible was explicitly clear that these ideas, the idea of Zionism was true, was something that all Christians should get behind, then you wouldn't need to invest millions of dollars into indoctrinating people to agree with you. Instead, you would save your money and just really go hard on encouraging Christians to read their Bibles. But they're not doing that, and they've never done that. Because if Christians were to read their Bible and were to stop injecting modern events into the Bible and allow the Bible to inform and define itself, and they would walk away not believing that the modern state of Israel is the same as biblical Israel, because they're not. But that is all I wanted to share today. Let me know if you took the time to dig into this filing a bit more than I have, and perhaps I missed something. Let me know in the comments, but I hope you would share this with everyone because people need to know that their faith is potentially being exploited and manipulated in order to progress political agendas that actually are unbiblical and go against the call of the Christian. Either way, thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time.